Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deerigan. Alongside me, as always, is the arc-striding aristocrat. The guy who definitely had a week. Tom Cruise's wingman. The Vex milk connoisseur.
Jesus.
And the hater of all champions, Josh Finney.
It has, in fact, been a week. Are those the 5 you're sticking me with tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Not as many submissions this week, guys. Come on.
It's true. That's true.
This is what we had to work with this week, Josh. So while you're mulling that over, we did forget to name the winner last week at the end of the show.
We did.
Would you like to reveal the winner?
The winner of week 1 is the Volt Shot Vandal.
Ooh,
I don't know if you guys know this
is
about
our
me
winner.
Yet. Yeah, yay, Joyces! I don't know if you know this about me, but I really love Volt Shot. It's like my favorite perk in a hot minute.
Yeah,
it's
a good perk.
Really fun on the Scout and on the Pulse, or not the Pulse. God, the sidearm.
I got it on the Scout rifle.
I crafted it on the Scout rifle.
Nice. Lucky enough to get a red border, eh?
Yeah, we'll talk about red borders in a minute. I have been leading the charge complaining about it, and my luck has actually been significantly better than I thought it was. Like, as soon as I started complaining, it just started fixing itself, so...
Bungie heard you.
That's, Bungie heard me and was like, oh, Jesus.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
What? Why don't you mull it over for the show, and maybe we'll do it at the end.
I'm mulling it over. I think I know the one. I think I know the one that I'm going with, but I will announce it at the end. Corey will not let me forget this week.
Don't make promises,
I've
Josh.
made myself. There is a note sitting literally on my computer right now. Do not forget to read the fucking name. So
is that exactly word for word what it says?
Yes, and I'm about to put it into my phone too, so that it'll show up on my screen. Man. Yeah,
what a week.
What a fucking week, man. I made a quip on Twitter about the names a couple nights ago. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but I bought Top Gun Maverick last week. I've watched that movie like 3 or 4 times all the way through already. Like, it has become like, I feel like I'm one of those dads who just turns on TNT and lets it run on a Saturday afternoon.
Oh, God.
This is like the ultimate, like I am 30 right now. I'm a little bit older than my dad was when Top Gun came out, the first one, and let me tell you something. This is destined to be like, I don't even know. Is TNT even still around? Like HBO, like the HBO Max movie of the week or something. Like, this is going to be one of those that like I understand. Like, I never got it with Top Gun 1. It was fine. It was kind of quotable. Anthony Edwards and Tom Cruise are great. It's very weird seeing Meg Ryan in that movie. And then it's just like, oh, it kind of ends. Like, it ends with Val Kilmer and Tom Cruise, like, being friends. And that translates somehow into they're still friends, like, 30 years later, which makes no sense according to the trajectory of the original movie whatsoever. We're led to believe that Iceman has just been saving Maverick's ass for, like, 35 years career-wise. I cannot tell you how much I know this movie frontwards to backwards. So I really appreciate whoever submitted Tom Cruise's Wingman, because it's pretty fucking great.
It's not gonna be like a Goose situation though, where you eject and you eject wrong.
Goose situation. Corey, I don't know. I'm assuming that you have not seen Top Gun Maverick.
I have not seen Top Gun Maverick.
But let me tell you something. The rivalry between Miles Teller and Glenn Powell in that movie, Rooster and Hangman, it's basically Maverick versus Iceman, except, let me tell you something. I fucking love Val Kilmer, okay? Glenn Powell has the most perfect shit-eating grin I have seen from an actor in years. Like, this dude
Like since Val Kilmer in Top Gun.
oh man, it's pretty fucking close. Like Val Kilmer in Top Gun, Val Kilmer in Heat, Val Kilmer in basically anything. It's fucking Glenn Powell, man. Like now, like watching this, I was like, yeah, I understand why he was the other finalist with Miles Teller for the part of Rooster. Rooster is Goose's son. I'm breaking down Top Gun in a lore corner here, but it's like,
Spoilers.
man, dude, it's so fucking obvious. He looks exactly like
I know.
Goose,
I know.
down to
He's even got
the
the mustache.
dude, down to the fucking mustache. He plays Great Balls of Fire. Like, come on, man. It's pretty fucking good though. Like, I would say like the rivalry between those two, and because like it's established that they knew each other before Top Gun. Unlike Iceman and Maverick met at Top Gun and just instantly fucking hated each other. Like these two have known each other for years. It's insinuated they went to Top Gun together, and now they're having to deal with each other again. It's like, it's great. This is the kind of guy that I want playing Cyclops in the MCU, is Glenn Powell. Because he would be a perfect Scott Summers. He's just enough of a piece of shit to effectively play that role. I think, especially if you're going for like 2000s Scott Summers, or like Phoenix Force Cyclops, like he would be perfect. I digress, though. I really appreciate you guys putting in a Top Gun nickname, because I got the gush about how Top Gun Maverick is like the most perfect dad movie ever made.
Watch next week. They're all just going to be Top Gun nicknames now.
Dude, I put out a call. I says, warning: if you submit a Top Gun or a My Hero Academia related nickname, I will go off topic immediately. I got one of those two. It's on y'all to get me a My Hero Academia nickname this week. Andre,
There might have been.
Andre, I'm looking at you, man. I'm looking at you.
Calling you out, Andre.
I'm calling you out because me and Andre talk about My Hero pretty regularly. So, right here, man. Right here. I'm looking right at you. I'm peering
My
at
Hero
your soul.
Watchcast coming soon.
Oh,
just kidding.
man.
That is not an announcement. That is not an announcement. I'm just kidding, guys.
It's some great shit. Some great shit, man. But we've got a lot of Destiny to talk about, Corey.
We have a ton, it looks like, here.
They gave us another meaty twab. We complained about not having good ones for so long, and, well, now we have this. I'm a little surprised that we don't get more Halloween details, honestly.
Yeah.
That was a little shocking to me that, like, oh, they're really not going to show us that event card until Tuesday. Like, they must know that we all hated the last one.
Yeah.
And so I guess let's start there. Let's start at the top of the thing. We got the official like art mock-up yesterday that like kind of fits with like the seasonal themes and stuff that they do every year, or every season, for the armor, and it looked really good. And I was like, okay, I want to see how this looks in game. The screenshot they gave us in the TWAB looks pretty fucking good. The mech armor looks good.
Yeah, I love this shot of like them just kind of posing.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at right now. I actually like all three sets. The Titan is literally Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yeah, I mean I mean, there's no hiding that.
I've been calling the Hunter a Metabot for like 6 months, and I feel like that may be slightly inaccurate. The Warlock may be more of a Metabot. The Hunter helmet at least reminds me more of Voltron.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this was really good. The reveal of this armor and how it looks in game. So a couple weeks ago, I think we talked about it on here. If not, I definitely did some private complaining about it. There were data mined images of some of the stuff from Festival of the Lost, and the armor sets looked really bad. It was like how they look when you pull them up inside the app, like just like really crude and like grayed out and stuff. And people are like, oh, this looks like shit. Like, nah, you think? It looks really bad. Imagine
You're talking about the images that they showed off with them without any shaders on them?
Yes. And people instantly took that to be like, this is how they're going to look in game. They look so bad. Like, no. these look great. I'm dropping probably 12,000 Bright Dust next week to buy the Titan and the Hunter sets, and I'm not even going to blink twice.
Yeah.
Like this looks great. But this kind of reignited an old debate that we've had a couple of times now on this show. And it like clockwork, if we have to vote on an armor set next year, I'm probably going to say the exact same thing. We're cutting it down to from once a year to like once every few months. When you have us vote on a set of armor, please make the other set available somehow. Like maybe the set that we voted on, you can earn through a quest line or something, and you toss the other set into honestly like. And Johnny said this in the Discord, but it's something that I've said in the past as well to a few people. I'd like to see the losing set maybe, because there's no way you're not already developing it at that point. Maybe put the other set into the event card and I would actually buy it. I think putting a set of armor in there would actually make that worth $10, but that's a much bigger discussion on Eververse optics as a whole. Which is probably something that we're going to come around to because an event is up and I expect things to be egregiously priced again. The Eververse economy is just so bad. Like we're about to talk about a bunch of economy changes, but the Eververse economy in particular is just egregious. But yeah,
Yeah.
so Mobile Suit Gundam, go buy the
Yeah.
armor. Like Bungie should be getting sued because this looks awesome.
Will be
Lego
purchasing.
ass shoulder pads.
Yeah. Dude, this looks so cool, man. I'm so excited to actually have like a pretty cool looking Titan set.
This looks very cool. Another thing that I want to highlight, it's up here at the top of the Schwab. We would have highlighted it anyways, even if it wasn't. October 11th was National Coming Out Day, which, as Bungie says here, is a day of awareness, education, and solidarity for the LGBTQIA plus community. It's a day celebrating the act of being your true self and encouragement to change the world by embracing you. They did a whole blog post on it. I'm not going to read through the whole blog post, but there's some cool wallpapers. There is instead of just giving away an emblem, they gave away a transmat effect,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was really cool. There's a code for that. You can go read the blog post. And then there were some wallpapers there, and this was the source of some discussion amongst the community. Like most of these characters we knew were a part of the LGBTQ community already. Saint 14, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Marasov.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other three, however. So Eramis, which if you've read, I believe it's the once ship stealer or something. It's whatever book came out with Beyond Light, about Eramis.
I think we read
She
it
we
at one
read
point.
parts of it because not all of it was obtainable. I think some of it's tied to like raid challenges.
Yeah.
Um, but her partner was Aetheris of Aetheris's Embrace.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent her away with their hatchlings sometime before the events of Beyond Light. So Aetheris is still out there somewhere. Presumably that's where Eramis is going to. One of the Cloud Striders is here, who has been confirmed to be non-binary. And then, last but not least, is good old Uncle Drifter.
Uncle Drifter.
Uncle Drifter is down here, and that was the one that him and Eramis seemed to spark the most conversation. And I mean, I think that a lot of us kind of went, well, that makes sense. It's Drifter.
Yeah.
It makes
I
sense.
kind of it
These
made
are the
so much sense that I thought this was already confirmed at one point.
so this is these colors. I don't think it's a coincidence. You can see like the colors on each of these wallpapers hint to the sexual orientation that they
Mm-hmm.
are. And
Yeah,
Drifters,
I think Liana tweeted about it and said each flag or each color palette is meant to represent
I
their.
believe so. I just I didn't want to point out. I didn't want to misspeak. So
Yeah.
to say,
Somebody tweeted that out.
Drifters is the colors of pansexuality though, which is interesting and makes a lot of sense. Like if you think about who Drifter is as a character. Um, so I thought that was a really. I think these are kind of neat details. And there, of course, there's trolls on Twitter and Reddit complaining about it, and outright screaming at one of the game developers, like, so you have time to tell us about the sexuality of these characters, but not fix rewards from grandmasters. And rightfully so, that person got flamed by the entire studio very publicly, and by a lot of the community today, because those things are not mutually exclusive. It's just like when we were talking about, the eager edge nerfs and whatnot, and oh, you have time to nerf eager edge, but you don't have time to fix duality. Like, those are completely different teams. I hate to break it to you
Right.
guys, those are totally different teams, totally and completely different teams.
God, people,
And
man.
man,
I wish, like, I wish there was just like a video, like a 10-minute video to maybe somewhat educate people on how video games are made. You know,
I would like that too. I think it's absolutely silly. But
not that like you can really explain that in 10 minutes, but you
no,
know,
but also, like, I don't think that it's like rocket scientist to know that
yeah.
the people who make the encounters probably aren't the same as the rewards team or the weapon balancing team.
Or
Um,
your social media team
or
and
yeah,
community
or
managers.
why are you tweeting at one of the writers of the game to fix this? Like, maybe get the fuck over yourself and go outside a little bit. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's probably frustrating, but this reward is going to be back around with the exact same GM later on in the season.
yeah,
And, like, it's Bungie. Like, their people play the game too. Like, I guarantee you, Dylan is in there being like, what the fuck, man? Mindbenders is not dropping the way it should. And Lightblade is one of the 3 hardest GMs in the game. But
yeah.
kind of getting back to what we were talking about, with National Coming Out Day, that's just another example of, Bungie with their social causes, um, and still doing things we don't really see from any other studio. Um, really trying to walk the talk, so to
Hmm.
speak, of what they preach with the inclusivity and whatnot. So the only people that are not going to be included in this, because this is where the bigots were getting mad. They were like, well, we don't like this, and you're not including us. And they're like, yeah, there's no place for you in this community. And that's true. I mean, that's something that Corey and I have said since day one. There's no room if you're not going to respect somebody as a human being. There's no room for you in this community. And
Yeah.
thankfully, we don't have that issue, like, in our community, like in our
Oh my
our
gosh.
little corner of the universe.
I mean, that makes me so happy that, like, I mean,
Yeah.
our
I don't
Discord
have
is,
to
I
go
mean,
around policing what people are saying in our Discord or anything. Everybody just
yeah, I mean,
intrinsically knows, like, we're going to be respectful of everybody regardless.
yeah, I mean, it's not like, I mean, our Discord isn't huge, but it's not small
Yeah.
by any stretch, right? And the fact that we don't have to police anybody in there or
Yeah.
on our Twitter following or anything is just like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh,
Josh
yeah.
and I appreciate that so much.
We appreciate you being, normal ass human beings and not weirdos. Corey, let's talk about something that's needed to happen for a long time.
All right, let's do it.
We're going to talk about changes to the game economy, and I think this is a step
Simpler
in
economy, everybody.
this is a step in the right direction, especially for those who may not play a whole lot, or new lights. Destination materials, man. Starting in season 19, players will no longer be able to obtain the following items: Dusklight shards, microphasic dataliths, helium filaments, barren bows, spin metal leaves, or glacial starwort. The keyword here is obtain. Unlike previous currencies that have been removed from the game, these materials will not be fully deprecated, but more on that in a bit. We decided to make this change because Destiny has grown to become a much more complex game than what it started as all those years ago. One of the major goals was that we have on the economy team for D2 is making the game more approachable to new and returning players. Removing these materials benefits players by freeing up inventory spaces and making it easier to find the items they're looking for. And with fewer currencies to manage, it'll be easier for players to learn and remember the value of the items they have in their inventories. What about material exchange? It's not going away. Rahul will continue to provide the services that Spider once did, although there will be some changes. These materials will not be fully deprecated as we've done with destination materials in the past, but instead, Rahul will continue to accept any destination materials you may have stored up over the years, although we'll see them exchanged at a lower rate than they had previously, and he will no longer sell destination materials to new players. Starting in Season 19, Rahul will now exchange 5,000 Glimmer for a stack of 20 destination materials. If players have less than 20 of a material in that inventory, Rahul will exchange 250 Glimmer for each individual material offered up by the player. Once Season 19 begins, this will be the only use for destination materials moving forward, so you can safely exchange all your materials and free up that inventory space. There are some new items that Rahul has found an interest in, however. Starting in Season 19, players can exchange excess Dark Fragments, Phantasmal Fragments, and Here Always pieces at Rahul in exchange for Glimmer. So great, because I literally have like 2,000 Phantasmal Fragments, and that's not an exaggeration. I probably have close to that, and Here Always pieces also. Dark Fragments, I don't even fucking know. So yeah, you can keep some of these in your vault for like nostalgic purposes. Like I still have my Fizzled Callus tokens, for example. But yeah, these are going to be useless. Thank God. I do wonder what they're going to replace the bundle of destination materials with on the season pass. That's like 9 rewards they gotta figure out, which I
Yeah.
expect just to be like
Legendary
Glimmer.
shards.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be legendary shards with the way the economy is going, and we're
Dude,
gonna
I'm
talk
so
about that more.
tired of Glimmer. I don't remember the last time I ran out of Glimmer. Like, or
It used to be much more frequent, but now it's like, oh, it doesn't cost me to do certain things anymore. So I'm not, and it doesn't cost me to like slot mods either, which used to
yeah.
be the big one. Um, so with materials going away, there will be a change. Everything's going to be done through legendary shards or glimmer now. Now that you know about the changes to material exchange, you're probably thinking, there goes the easiest way to get glimmer. To offset this, we want to breathe new life into a part of D2 that maybe doesn't get as much attention as they used to: public events. In Season 19, public events will get a big glimmer boost, especially the heroic versions. When completing heroic public events, players can expect to earn between 10 and 12.5 thousand glimmer. When completing normal public events, you can expect to earn between 3 and 4. These are raw numbers without glimmer boosting mods or bonuses enabled. Cool, fine. I think that's totally acceptable. It's totally fine. Anything that previously cost the player destination materials, such as purchasing exotic weapons at the Monument to Lost Lights, will see some updates. In the case of these legacy exotic weapons, the destination materials will be replaced with a legendary shard cost. Raid exotics such as Anarchy and Teraba will see no change to their current costs. Other items that once saw destination materials as part of their purchase cost, such as upgrade modules, enhancement prisms, and ascendant shards, will simply see the destination material cost removed entirely with no further changes to their current price points. Obviously, materialism mods are going to disappear from ghosts. You can now harvest glimmer from doing resource nodes with the bountiful harvest mod. So there's plenty of ways to go get more glimmer. As players noticed with the release of the Witch Queen, the deposits of osmium found around the throne world did not grant a currency, but instead delivered glimmer, XP, and reputation directly to the player. Though we will not be creating new reputation systems for our previous destination vendors, such as Devrim, Failsafe, Petra, and others at this time, we will be working to improve these experiences. Devrim and Failsafe, our longest tenured destination vendors, will be getting a small update in Season 19. The reputation system that saw players turning in destination materials to gain ranks has been removed. This also means there are no longer rank requirements to purchase armor from these vendors. Additionally, the ghost shells and emblems that were once earned via reputation rank increases can now be purchased directly from Devrim and Failsafe for 10 legendary shards each. We also increased the number of daily bounties from 3 to 4. Though we don't have repeatable bounties to add to these destinations at this time, it brings us closer to parity across all the destination vendors. Finally, we will be removing the sale of sunset weapons from both vendors when the season goes live. This is largely to prevent players from wasting resources on weapons that cannot be upgraded to the current level cap. So cool. We're simplifying it across the board. I don't think this really merits a whole lot of conversation. They laid it out like good. 2 thumbs up. That's like 6 spots I'm getting back in my inventory now.
Yep.
When that can be pretty filled up with some of these seasonal currencies and stuff. Mid-season weapons tuning. This is the bulk of the TWAB, and I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not going to read most of this. This is a lot of numbers and shit here. Numbers and shit. We typically read these. It's just we read through so much last week in regards to what was coming down. It was a big Q&A format. I think it was actually like both easier and harder to read through. This is kind of more on the normal end. I would encourage you that if you are interested in some of these changes to come read through them yourself. I will fly through and do like the highlights, basically their bullet points. But it's a lot. It's a lot of numbers. There's a lot of explanation and like a lot of weapon theory in here, though. So if you're interested in a deep dive, I would recommend coming through and doing it. If I see something that like jumps out at me, we'll read it. But there's a lot here.
Yeah,
There's a lot. Like, I'm gonna
there's
focus
so
more
much.
I'm going to focus on the exotics at the end, honestly. But this is in the uh, hot fix that is coming in 6.2.5, which I believe is going live on Tuesday, the
Yeah,
18th,
I think
with
so.
Festival of the Lost. So, auto rifles see strong usage in PvP activities around 25%, but that drops to 13% in endgame PvP, such as Trials of Osiris. Um, We often hear suggestions we should decrease time to kill and increase the range of auto rifles, but we found that with very minor changes to either, they become quickly oppressive across all sandboxes. As it stands, several high impact 360s and precision frames 450s are already capable of outranging hand cannons and at least one adaptive frame cannon as well. We do not want them to wholeheartedly be competing with pulse rifles in the 40 meters plus range. Even a single bullet reduction in time to kill places many auto rifle subfamilies into best in class lethality. As such, we decided to lean more heavily into increasing their ease of use and making them feel better to shoot within their optimal ranges with a substantial buff to stability. Precision frame auto rifles specifically have languished since Uriel's gift meta of early Destiny 2, and because they are so inherently so stable, they did not benefit much from the changed outline above. Uh, increase the effects of stability stat on recoil reduction by 20% at the high end, and precision frames increase the crit damage multiplier from 1.5 to 1.55. So crit damage goes from 30 to 31. Yay. Um, Bows, we talked about the bow changes. Pulse rifles currently strong in the sandbox, both through the reduced dominance of other mid to long range weapons and the availability of multiple easily acquirable and craftable strong options. In addition, a few balance passes back, we buffed their range a moderate amount, but in the current sandbox, we no longer feel they need that help across the board. We've removed the range bonus at the low end while retaining it at the high end to continue rewarding those who spec into range without giving the same advantage to those who do not. We also feel there was not enough of a difference in the feel of weapon handling across pulse rifle subfamilies, so we've rebalanced the stat to decrease the effects slightly at the low end and raise them at the high end. Adaptive frames 390 have not been favored since the Bygones era, and we believe this change will be enough to increase their strength relative to other pulse rifles without pushing them too far into meta territory. Rapid fire frames 540s Peace of Mind has an out of band zoom stat that allows it to compete at longer ranges than what would be expected for the subfamily, so it will be the first of multiple zoom outliers we'll be looking at bringing in line over the next season. So, in summation, rebalance the effective handling stat across pulse rifles, increase the effects of handling by 5% at the high end, so mostly lightweight and adaptive frames, reduce the effects of handling by 2% at the low end, so for high impact and rapid fires, adjust the damage fall off based on the range stat. Um, the adaptive frame pulse got a precision multiplier from 1.6 to 1.65. This allows a weapon to kill guardians below tier 4 resilience with 6 crits, which is 2 bursts in 0.6 seconds. And then Peace of Mind base zoom reduced from 19 to 18. As we've said before, these may seem like relatively minor changes, but they can have pretty rippling effects in a sandbox. So I'm curious to see how the next Iron Banner goes with Peace of Mind.
Yeah,
For me,
yeah,
that's going to be the big test for me. It's the number one weapon in Trials, has been since it came out, but I think there's plenty of other good options for Trials. It's like Mercury says here, it's a pretty easy weapon to go and obtain and craft a god roll on your own,
hmm
exactly the way that you want it. And that's not a bad thing, but when it completely dominates PvP, I can see where they're going like, oh shit. It's not like you had to go grind out for that god roll like we did with messengers. This got handed to you on a silver platter. So, um, scout rifles, 150 high impacts are going to be scaled back a little bit. Reduced body damage from 42 to 40 and crit damage from 73.5 to 70. Because they're slightly too easy to use in terms of time to kill.
yeah.
For reference,
I've noticed
150s
that.
Jade Rabbit. That's the
Yeah,
Jade Rabbit archetype.
yeah.
Um,
I've seen a lot of Jade Rabbits lately.
yes. Well, and we're gonna address that. There's specifically a Jade Rabbit section once we
Yeah,
get through these subfamilies of weapons. Sidearms. Um, they basically gave it better fall off distance by 30%, which is just fucking wild. Sidearms with rangefinder will feel the same, but without rangefinder, they're going to feel notably better. That's crazy. I'm very excited. I really enjoyed running sidearms there for a long time. I ran Last Hope or Breachlight in I mean everything. I was running those in PvP, in trials. I was running them in what you call it. I was running them in Master Nightfalls. I absolutely loved those sidearms. When Devil's Ruin came out, that was Season of the Sidearm for me. Was
Season of the Sidearm.
Season of the Dawn. I really wish Last Hope and Breachlight would get reissued, and I'll ask for it every single season until it happens. We want to be careful touching SMGs, as we believe most of them are in a good place with their intended ranges. Some SMGs can be used well outside of their distance effectively, and it's made it difficult for other weapons to compete. Uh, Outliers in the precision frame, 600 RPM. So that's like your Shayura's Wrath, for example. Yeah, that's your Shayura's Wrath. I had to make sure I was talking about. In general, reduced damage fall off, and that's the hip fire reaching its lowest point by 24 to 23. So you can't just spray and pray. And then precision frame, increased base damage from 16 to 17. Crit damage goes from 22.4 to 23.8. Reduced the zoom of Shayura's Wrath and friction fire from 16 to 15. Again, one of those relatively minor changes. You may go, oh, they're giving them slightly more damage on Shayura's, which is already amazing. Yeah, Shayura's is like really amazing when you can get that zoom going, though.
Yeah.
Without that, I'm not going to say that Shayura's is going to be like a bad option, but I do think that more things can compete with it, which is the whole purpose. And then lightweight frame SMGs reduced base damage from 11 to 10.8, crit damage from 18.2 to 17.9. Precision frame auto or fusion rifles reduce the effect of the intrinsic precision frame perk has on recoil direction by 50% for fusion rifles only. Glaives reduced glaive shield damage resistance versus players from 75% to 50%. Damage from player supers remains unchanged at 50. Damage from non-players unchanged at 97.5. So this is something that is going to be addressed primarily for PvP, and like all these changes are directed towards PvP, mind you. Something that is said here, we'll continue to keep an eye on glaive shield damage resistance in the future, especially when the improved hit registration changes come into effect in Season 19. Sniper rifles. This is kind of a PvE change here. Increased the settle time after receiving flinch by 60% and reduced received flinch in PvE. Now that this has had sufficient playtest time, we are making a similar change to linear fusion rifles in Season 19. So this is what we were talking about a few weeks ago, that this could be coming. It is going to come to linear fusion rifles. Under the hood, incoming damage causes a player's aim to deflect by an angle depending on the weapon type and damage amount, and then there's a spring force that pulls aim back down, called the dampening ratio, and spring force, often called a settle time. We made a change in Season 19 that has significantly moved the needle in internal playtests. We've reduced the amount of flinch received in PvE, but increased the settle time substantially. That means you'll continue to flinch away from your target without settling enough to shoot through flinch. Our goal is to discourage continuing to attempt to snipe when you are already under fire. The expertise of sniping while not under fire will not change. So basically, it's going to make them it's going to make them harder to use. 60%. So you might not be doing that one phase anymore. But that ought to be interesting. There is stability stat on recoil reduction for trace rifles here, from by 10 to 25% depending on which one it is. Rocket launchers increase blast radius by 0.4 meters across the board. Cool. Let's hit these exotics.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Because I, the thing is I like all of these exotics. Like, I like all of them.
Yeah. So this is specifically with like Lord of Wolves. I would encourage everybody to like kind of read along with us. But
yeah.
Jade Rabbit. Has a unique stat package compared to almost all other high-impact scout rifles, and has massively high aim assist and stability. The aim assist puts the weapon's ease of use so well above what we find to be acceptable for a weapon with nearly unlimited range and a fast, optimal time to kill. Now that high-impact scouts are performing comparatively better than they have been in the past, we have reduced aim assist by 20. So we should be getting domed a lot less by Jade Rabbit in everything other than momentum control. Lord of Wolves. This and No Time to Explain are the two big ones here. When we nerfed Lord of Wolves, we mentioned it was the first part of a larger rework we were planning for the weapon aimed at making it more competitive in PvE. Right now, Release the Wolves perk reduces accuracy by a substantial amount with the intention it would be useless against small targets, but still land shots on larger targets. The increased spread meant it was difficult to land crit hits on even on large targets without having to be dangerously close to them. In content where the extra damage matters, this could often be a lethal experience, so we've reduced the accuracy penalty by 70%. It should still be inaccurate enough that using Release the Wolves in PvP against Guardians will not be effective, but it will make it that much easier to consistently hit critical hits on big targets in PvE without needing to be right next to them. When Release the Wolves is active, reduces ADS accuracy penalty from 10 to 3, removed the 25% universal damage buff, added a 40% additional PvE damage buff, removed the 50% critical hit multiplier penalty, added full auto as an intrinsic perk. Cool. We'll see how it works. I'm never using this in PvE though, so
No.
cool.
Nope.
For you insane people out there, have fun. No Time to Explain. This gun has been dominant in PvP for much of the last season, topping the trials usage and kill charts week in, week out. However, we had to be careful in tuning the weapon because its dominance is not universal. The weapon sees over twice the usage and dramatically higher effectiveness on mouse and keyboard than it does on controller. For example, on mouse and keyboard, No Time to Explain makes up 29.9% of all pulse rifle usage in PvP
Oh
and
my
accounts for
god.
31.1% of all pulse kills. On controller, No Time to Explain is 12.3% of pulse rifle usage and only 12.5% of kills. With
Oh
mouse and
my
keyboard having
god.
higher stability, accuracy, and auto aim, two bursts from No Time to Explain is much easier to achieve in that sandbox, so we needed to tune it in a way that the difference was noticeable on mouse and keyboard, but did not ruin gun feel for controller players. At the same time, we also wanted skilled players to continue to be able to use the weapon effectively while lowering the overall ease of use to make it more difficult to perform well with the weapon. So ultimately, what they landed on here is reduced recoil direction in the reduced recoil direction from 90 to 73, and reduced aim assist from 45 to 40. Um, so we'll see how this goes. Again, this is largely a PC problem. I have not really encountered it in Crucible on console, but I also haven't played a lot of Crucible this season. I want to be really clear about that. I saw it in momentum control, but I figured, okay, momentum, cool. I haven't waited in the trials at all this season. I'm sure that when I go in there this weekend or next weekend or something, I'm going to see it there, unfortunately. But that is more, I wouldn't say like more of a competitive gun, but I would say like that's more of like a try hard thing. And obviously, as we can see on PC, it's like auto kill essentially. That combined with
31%.
peace of mind, man, Jesus Christ. Um, and
That's
then
insane. The
that's
numbers on
wild.
this. Oh my
That's
god,
wild.
dude.
Because I mean,
29.9%.
of
Oh,
all pulse rifle usage on
oh
mouse and
my
keyboard,
god.
that's
So,
wild.
uh,
Risk Runner is a very niche weapon with a very niche strength, but 50% damage resistance in PvP with the perk active is far out of band from what we want damage resistance options to exist. We have reduced it to 15%, which is still among the highest damage resistance options available, while making it less of a free win option versus other players who are using arc weapons. So reduce damage resistance versus players when the arc superconductor is active from 50% to 15%. Future items that are going to be tuned sometime in the next season, not necessarily at launch. Special ammo, linear fusion rifles, Lawrence and Arbalist, including auto aim reduction and flinch tuning for those two. Machine gun balancing to make them better as an option in PvP. Reduce the difference between them and other heavy weapons in PvE. Make them less punishing to use for ad clearing. And remove the damage penalty to Dead Man's Tail at 5 stacks of Cranial Spike. Let's go! I'm excited. I'm very excited. I love Dead Man's Tail. I want to use it more.
I've been using Dead Man's Tail a lot lately. I
I'm
really
very
like that
excited.
weapon. I was kind of like, I don't know if I like this at first. but like I don't know, man. I've been using it a lot, and I'm like really into it right now.
Mm-hmm. It's still a good weapon. It's our old friend Joe. It's his one of his favorite weapons ever in Destiny. Um, but with that, we're done with the monster twab. We're done with
Monster
everything.
Twab,
We weren't going to read
not
through
as
everything. We read
monstrous
through an
as
awful lot. Not as bad as last week. It is a lot of like deep shit on the back end.
hmm
You have to like really know where we're going with it, I guess.
yeah,
It's not too bad though. Ultimately, it could be a whole lot worse. Um, Before we move to questions and lore corner, though, I want to have a discussion about the story for this season. And Corey, I'm assuming that you finished this week's story mission.
yeah,
So, full spoilers if you haven't done this week's story quest yet, but this is a topic I've seen going around, and I kind of wanted Corey and I to give our 2 cents, give our kind of take on the seasonal story. I've seen some people say that this is the exact opposite of last season. Last season was super story driven, kind of like a shitty event and things like that. Whereas like this season, and this is very much my thoughts on it. This season, the story is kind of middling, but I've had a lot more fun with the expeditions and with the catch crash.
yeah.
Um,
the
so
The
my
thing
first
is,
my first question would be like how do we feel like overall about the story with the resolution that we got? Because we got the awesome cutscene of Eramis saving Ido, and
yeah,
then Mithrax immediately teleports in. Like Mithrax is like not yelling at us, but like begging us over the radio to save Ido. And when
yeah,
we burst through the door in the cutscene, and we see Eramis save Ido, and then Mithrax transmats in, and they immediately are like they're throwing down. They're throwing down right away. And this is we saw some of these images in the initial trailer for the season, the story trailer for it.
hmm yeah,
Um, Mithrax has the opportunity. So, side note, it's really funny that Aramis's sword is the sword from Deepstone Crypt because that's like one of the worst swords in the history of Destiny. Um, Tanix left her a really shitty breakup present, but I was looking at this and going, "Wow, I don't know what I expected, but this wasn't it." It ends with Mithrax having the chance to kill her. And Drifter even like kind of meta commentates on this, being like, so let me get this straight. He had two swords to her throat and then let her go. Because I'm watching this whole cutscene and I'm going, okay, this is a really dope fight. He pulls out the fucking splicer gauntlet. Like Ido's begging him not to kill her, and he whips out his splicer gauntlet and just punches. He punches Aramis in the face with it, like the equivalent of like throwing digital sand into someone's face. You
right,
can like see
yeah,
it like fucking with her mask.
yeah, and like when she's laying on the ground, you can see like the light in one of the eyes in her mask is out.
She ends it by telling him she could have had it all. And then she throws up a wall of stasis and runs and jumps onto her catch. And first off, why the fuck are we just standing there and not like taking a shot or something?
Right.
Um, Second, Mithrax sought to prove her wrong. It seems like the stuff between him and Ido is mended now, but the story just kind of ends there without like any sort of resolution.
Yeah.
This this was a weird choice, and I feel like we're not like well, typically like with seasons like that we're not quite done yet. That there's
hmm
still another shoe to drop because and
There's got to
this
be an
is
epilogue, right?
well,
I
and this
mean
was some of the
that
conversation that we were having in the Discord and that I was seeing going around it. Seems like people are kind of splitting into two camps of man, this season was really underwhelming in terms of story. And then those who were like, well, okay, yeah, it seems a little underwhelming, but there's probably going to be something else. And finding the artifacts of Nezarec, like with us getting so close to Lightfall, like surely next season is probably going to feature like a part two when it comes to those relics. Because here's where I keep drawing the line at Osiris has to wake up between now and Lightfall.
yeah.
And the thing I would caution though is after finding these relics of Nezarec and after we've kind of found out that he was into some shit, I'd really like to figure out what Nezarec's sin was That's what I'd really like to figure out. We have the Warlock helmet that's called that. I want to figure out what was the actual sin that Nezarec did. What if, and this is just kind of like wild, wacky theory time. What if they use those relics of Nezarec to resurrect Osiris,
That's what I was thinking.
but it's not Osiris? What if
Oh, you mean like
Nezarec's
Nezarec
what if Nezarec's
embodies?
spirit takes over Osiris? But see, and
You
here's
think
the
they
only
would do
thing.
that again?
That's what I was gonna say. That's the only thing that keeps me from thinking that. Like that's a popular theory that seems to be gaining steam. And the only thing I would caution everybody about is that they just did this last year with
Yeah.
Savathun having taken over his body for an entire year.
Yeah.
At the same time, it seems like we're kind of overdue for a death. And I would imagine something dark has to happen in order to use artifacts of the darkness. I would think that possibly the epilogue would involve us using, if there is an epilogue, which I see no reason to think that there's not at this point. If there is an epilogue, I would imagine it's us with Mithrax and Ido activating the relics
Mm-hmm.
to try and use them, because there's just a lot of talk about Osiris. Whenever Saint is around, Mithrax is asking about Osiris. And we keep having the lore pieces of Saint, is still going about his duties in the tower, but is trying to take care of Osiris too. And Mithrax has gone and visited them and this and that. And Saint's like, when Osiris wakes, I can't wait to bring him to the Elixni Quarter and things like that. I have to wonder, what if this is kind of the inverse of what the Crown of Sorrow did last season, where like it tethered nightmares to us? What if using these relics of darkness require a sacrifice? Do you think that Mithrax or Saint would lay down their life to bring Osiris back, realizing that Osiris is probably one of the best weapons that we can have against the Witness? Even without his ghost,
I
he's still probably the most intelligent person in the galaxy.
I bet it's got I could see it both ways. I could see Mithrax sacrificing himself so Saint and Osiris could be together.
Right. And to because his whole thing has been about atoning for his past too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I could also see, I could see Saints sacrificing himself so Mithrax could live, and Mithrax ends up like helping Osiris or whatever. But I don't know why you would do that why we had a whole season about bringing Saint back from the dead, right? So my guess would be Mithrax would sacrifice himself for Saint.
yeah, I would be I'd be interested to see what happens. Because when we place the 8th relic, they talk about the curse of Nezarec.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm interested to see where that goes, because surely that has to play into it. I'm pulling up the cutscene because I wanna make sure that I'm speaking specifically what is in there and I'm not inferring the wrong thing. God, fucking YouTube, if it doesn't crash my whole computer here, which it seems like it might. Hang on.
Uh-oh. Set the music.
So they believe Ido and Mithrax believe they can harness the power. To what end, we're still uncertain. While I believe in our abilities, I'm concerned about the potential side effects that such a process could invite. Ancient dirge I discovered describes something called the Curse of Nezarec, which is rumored to drain the life of the user. So that's pretty key there, I would say. I don't give credence to such superstition. Dark Age humans were comically ignorant. Still, I'd rather not take the risk. My father disagrees. I suspect he wishes to redeem himself for his past wrongs, and in that I cannot dissuade him. We will continue searching for a method to unlock the relics. Until then, the light abides. Light provides, excuse me, not abides. Light provides. That is some dark shit, man.
Yeah.
I'm a little curious, and shout out to Destiny Lore Vault for archiving that for me to find pretty quickly. The top comment is my favorite. Me listening to this as I carry his glaive and wear what might have been his helmet. Um,
Uh-oh.
I'm very, very, very curious what happens here. Um, we still don't quite know what the Hive wanted with these relics. It can be assumed that Imaru wanted them to try and do some sort of ritual, maybe even in the ruins of the Throne World Pyramid to bring Savathun back. But it seems pretty clear to me that whoever does this ritual is potentially fucking themselves up.
Yeah.
To what end? Like, do we do the ritual this season? Is it the kickoff to next season? Is it an epilogue? Is it something that gets held till Lightfall? Like, that's been part of the mystery for me ever since we got the reveal of Lightfall. Is we don't know a whole lot about the story, but we know, we know about Callus, we know about Neomuna. Fucking Osiris is in the key art, and it's really, really, really bothering me because to what
Yeah.
end we don't know, and we knew that was going to be part of the journey, and now with like a season to go, it's kind of like we got to pick up the pace here a little bit. Like, this was a fun little side story, and like right now it seems like a side story and like a
Well,
non-serious season, as we're about to have like probably the most serious stretch of Destiny that there might ever be.
yeah.
But you're still doing it while hunting down fingers, presumably, of Nezarec. Like,
Yeah, these have to be like
this
these
has to be
artifacts
the
have to
way that
play
we
something.
bring that we
Yeah.
use darkness to bring Osiris back.
Yeah.
He was taken by the dark. He was taken by darkness. Now we're basically trying to undo that. And I would imagine that what's her face, Eris, is probably going to have to be a pretty big part of that as
Oh yeah,
well.
she's gonna have to do like the whole. There's probably some sort of ritual, right? That she's gonna have to
Dude, there's
perform.
going to be some sort of ritual. The Crown of Sorrow is still just like chilling 10 feet away from these fingers.
Right. Yeah. It's
It's
like.
not great. It's not great times over there
Let's
in
be honest though.
Casa
Like,
de Helm.
is this is I mean, hmm, whoever put that in there didn't really think this through. It's not thought through. Concerned. Yeah.
But you couldn't keep him in the city either because that's where Savathun's body is being dissected, apparently.
I mean, that's fair, but they don't have any other like secret base, something that they could hide it. I don't know. Seems a little. Hmm.
This seems a little sketchy.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
not a
concerned
fan.
in
Not a
much
fan
more.
at all.
Not a fan, everybody.
No, this sounds terrible. Um, Corey, why don't you say we do some? Let's do some questions. We've gotten some
Let's do some
absolutely ridiculous
questions.
speculation out of the way. But I guess before we move on, what have you thought about the story overall this season? Now that we've gotten through the 8 weeks of the season that the story is dictated through, what are your thoughts
I
overall?
mean, it started I feel like it started out kind of like, okay, this is cool, pirates, and then like the whole setup with Mithrax and Ido and Eramis was like a really cool kind of premise for a story that just kind of like, as of right now, just kind of fizzled out, like space pirates and
I
the
yeah,
event was super
if I could
cool. And
offer one theory that I have, the final radio message, and it's in the final lore piece that you get as well. Um, Eramis acknowledges in the final lore piece that you get for placing the relics that there is not a place for her amongst the new Elixni. Um, among a new Reese, she doesn't want to live amongst the humans, but she also acknowledges to herself that Ido is the future of the Elixni. That's why she saved her ultimately. Um,
Mhm.
and that Ido is like, come back to us, and this and that, and she's like, nah, there's no place for me there. That she is the future, and like she's not admitting that Mithrax is, because she definitely doesn't want to live under Mithrax, but she's acknowledging that Ido is ultimately the future of the race, and it's probably worth having a discussion depending on what if they do something else with Mithrax and Ido next season, which I feel like they might,
Yeah.
regarding these relics and whatnot.
I
It's
mean,
too juicy to let it sit there for another year. I do wonder if something happens and Ido is the actual prophesied Kell of Kells, and it's not Mithrax like we've thought for so long. That would
yeah.
be fairly poetic to me, even though she's a scribe, especially with Eramis, like the last of the old Elixni, basically saying,
Yeah.
like, you're the leader now. Like, you're the future of our species. You're the one who's going to keep us from extinction. Um,
Hmm.
I think that's an
There's got to
interesting
be
approach.
an epilogue though to this story. Like it
I
can't
do
just
think
end like that,
that
right?
there is, but I don't, and I think the epilogue maybe what's his face Osiris waking up would probably be like whatever ritual we do, and then next season is like the fallout of that, but also like we discover the existence of Neomuna and things of that nature. Because there's a lot of ground to cover, I think, in one season. I
Yeah.
like this season overall. I think like the narrative, yeah, sure, it wasn't as strong as some of the others. I mean, we had so many good seasons of narrative in a row, though. I would say, like
Yeah.
Chosen, Splicer, Lost. I think all three of those were pretty strong narrative seasons overall.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
would argue that. Well, I mean, I liked Risen personally with Saladin and Crow being at the
Oh yeah,
forefront.
that was cool too. Yeah.
Last season is one of the best story seasons we've ever had. It's kind of weird because this is like probably the first truly like I think excuse me, my voice is starting to go out. Had Risen gone on any longer than 4 weeks, I think we would have probably been like, okay, come on, let's speed this up. This is kind of like the first down season in terms of storyline. Like right now on the like surface storylines that we've been like, man, kind of a bummer here. This almost feels like we're back in the seasons of Shadowkeep in a large way in terms of storylines. But it's pretty clear the Nezarec stuff is building for the future, as is Ido, Spider, and Mithrax. Even Drifter,
Yeah.
like there's a lot from all of them. There's a lot of development made on their ends, revealing their pasts, etc. Here, I guess maybe not Drifter. Drifter's just kind of chilling here, like he always does. But I have to think that this is for some larger picture that's coming into play, and I don't think you can leave that sit until a season next year. I think that has to take like that's got to be dealt with like soonish. Like next year should be all
Hmm.
about like shoring up the allies we don't quite have yet for the final
Yeah.
shape. Um,
Yeah.
we have
I mean, there's only
the
9
cabal
seasons
are
left.
like there's 5 seasons left between now and the final shape. 5 seasons.
That's
So
so
I
crazy.
I have to think that we shore up Elixni support before then, and that
I so
part of
I
the
have sorry,
go ahead.
not to cut
No,
you off,
you're
but
fine. You're
like
fine.
there's 5 seasons between now and the final shape, and there's gonna be 4 seasons presumably for the final shape, the year of the final shape, right?
Yes.
Are we trying to wrap up everything in 5 seasons, or do you think this will bleed over into those 4 extra seasons?
I think those 4 extra seasons are going to deal with like some things that aren't directly related to the conflict between Light and Dark that we've set up. Like, honestly, that may be where you get your Siva season.
Yeah.
Um, I could see like an Iron Lord season happening or something. Um, them bringing back the Crota raid could tie into like cleansing the moon once and for all or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I assume there's going to be some other. I hadn't really thought about that. I assume that's kind of where you're going to clean things up at. Um, Eramis, I think we probably deal with, if not now, then next year in the lead up to Final Shape. I think that she ends up being a dungeon boss.
Mm.
I do think that we're going to be forced to take her down eventually. I think it's going to, and I do think this is going back to the Deep Stone Crypt. I think that's where we'll deal with her because that was her goal was to get into there all along.
Yeah.
And she never succeeded. Atrax did, one of her lieutenants, and Tanix obviously was resurrected there. I would like to see a conclusion to her story. We know there is a dungeon coming next season. It would not shock me at all if she was the dungeon boss.
Yeah.
But if they don't deal with her now, I feel like that might get left for next year. But I could see her being like one of the things that we're mopping up after the final shape.
Yeah.
Maybe like she reluctantly allies with us against the final or against the witness, and then we kind of have to offer. I could see that happening. I could see, I want to see how the next couple seasons shake out before I start predicting anything beyond the final shape, like for its seasons. But I think there's some pretty clear events that have to happen, and a lot of it is Elixir thing. Honestly, it's figuring out are we going to do anything with the Deepstone Crypt, the fate of Eramis, the fate of the Kell of Kells, like who is the prophesied leader, um, the fate of Rasputin, Anna's hopefully non-fall darkness. Hopefully that's been averted. Obviously the events on Neomuna. The defeat of Callus has to happen. I would say the curse on the Dreaming City has to be broken. And we still haven't dealt with Xivu Arath. We haven't even seen Xivu Arath yet. Like, I could see in like the ultimate like middle finger, I could see Xivu Arath being like one of the things that we're mopping up in the seasons after the final shape. Like you fight her during it or something, and or during that or during the seasons leading up to final shape, and then like you finally kill her in a dungeon. I could see that happening to kind of like cap off the Hive's story. Like I feel like that's that race, like the Hive and the Taken are like definitively going to be done after this.
Yeah. I feel at least the Hive definitely have to
I
be.
think the Hive have to. I think they're too intertwined. I think the Hive and the Taken is like a pure darkness power, so that's a little bit different. But like the Hive, I mean, that's a small army, and we've eradicated
I
no
mean,
small amount of them.
Unless you don't deal with Xivu Arath at all in the next
which would be just
year and
fucking
a half.
wild.
Oh my gosh, we have to, right?
I don't want another like 3 years of dealing with a Hive god. I'm over fighting the Hive, honestly. I would be lying to you if I said that I'm not completely and totally over this. I'm done. I'm done. Let's shift into let's shift the questions. Let's shift the questions though, because I kind of want to revisit this topic a little bit once we figure out exactly what we're doing with the relics here in a few weeks. We have a lot of questions tonight. Jesus. Getting us started.
Let's get it started. Let's do it.
So
By the way, shout out to Nerd for setting up the question thing in Discord. That dude is a wizard at setting this stuff up.
Yeah, it's no pun intended. He's absolutely a wizard. I've really enjoyed having the question threads. It's made life significantly easier for us. We have a lot of Halloween themed questions this week. So I want to start here. RushJet asks us, "What is your favorite horror movie?" We've got some non-Destiny related questions in here this week. Favorite horror movie? I guess
I'm
the
not
first
really a
question to
huge
Corey would be,
horror
does Corey
fan.
like horror movies?
No, the thing is like I don't watch horror movies like at all.
Yeah.
I'm like pass. I think I'm pretty sure the last horror movie I saw was either the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, the first
Oof.
remake with Jessica Biel,
Yeah.
or Saw, the first Saw movie.
Oof. Those are rough.
I I do have to say though, when Blair Witch Project came out, that movie was so scary and so like fascinating
Mm-hmm.
at the time, right? Because it came out like at a time where like there was no social media, obviously, no YouTube, no nothing. And this was like one of the first real found footage films, right? And
Yeah.
everybody thought it was real at the time. Like everybody thought
Well,
Blair Witch
that's how they
Project was
marketed
real.
it too.
Yeah. And so yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of the Blair Witch Project more than I actually like the Blair Witch Project. But I agree. I do like that movie. I would say for me, like I have to go with a classic. I have to go with the OG Halloween. The 1978 Halloween is just an incredible piece of filmmaking. I really like that. I find it really hard to get into horror movies personally. We really need to have Colonel Panic on here to answer this question for us. He really likes horror movies, especially like on a budget. I always liked monster movies more. I was a big fan of. I don't know if anybody remembers when it came out, but we talk about viral marketing campaigns, and when Cloverfield was getting marketed,
Oh my God, yeah.
I was a sophomore in high school when that movie came out. And I remember going on a date to go see it. And my date absolutely hated that that's the movie we went and saw because there were several jump scares in it. She was so pissed at me about it. Meanwhile, I thought that was like one of the best things I'd ever seen. I was like 15. This was incredible to me. I still love that movie to this day. I think it's an awesome movie. It's not necessarily horror, but it's definitely got some jump scares in it. And it was a really creative use of found footage and like monster tropes and things like that. Hmm, Nerd comes at us with designing a Destiny horror movie. Destiny 2, the horror movie. All the tower residents go to a summer camp and a slasher is on the loose. Who is shacking up with who? So let's start there. In true Friday the 13th style. Okay, who is bunking with who, and who's fucking? Who's fucking here?
Who's who's fucking?
It's got to be Drifter and Eris, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Man, I knew Eris had a third eye for something.
Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah, no, they're definitely the ones.
Oh
They're the
yeah.
ones. Mara and Petra a close second. Um, who's got a bunk with who? That's got to be the question here.
Hmm. I mean, I mean, man, who's bunking with who?
I feel
What
like
here?
Shax or Saladin and Zavala are like the camp counselors.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely a separate cabin of Zavala, Saladin, and maybe even Shax's just like
I would say Shax. Yeah,
chilling.
we're gonna put the three Titans in a room. Three of the Titans in a room together. I
Yeah,
feel
they're
like
definitely chilling, playing some cards, doing Titany stuff, probably punching
I
each
don't even think
other.
they're playing cards. They're just like you just keep hearing them like quoting lines from like Iron Banner and stuff. Yes,
Yeah.
that's all you're hearing from
No,
the cabin like all night, and you're a little concerned.
no. Shax is doing his worst impressions of Saladin and Zavala, and Zavala is just like, hmm, hmm, and
Zavala
then
brought the Perrier with him.
yeah, and Saladin's just like annoyed because he's like the old
Saladin
grumpy
is like
grandpa.
lights out at 10:30. That's the kind of
Yeah,
guy Saladin is.
yeah,
I feel like your next room has to be Elsie and Anna, Eris, and like, but they like can't figure out where Eris keeps disappearing to because like she's sneaking off into the woods with Drifter, right? And like by proxy, I think
right.
Drifter and I think it's got to be Drifter, Saint, and Crow sharing a room.
Hmm. I could, God, I could see that, and I could see Saint hating every second of it.
See, I see Saint like loving it. Like Saint wants to be part of the group so bad. He wants to be one of the boys so bad.
Yeah, but I feel like that's you would.
Drifter's like trying to share stories about like getting laid, and Saint is just like so excited to talk about it. Then he realizes that all he can talk about is his relationship with Osiris, and so he has to like
Hmm.
abstain because
Yeah,
everyone knows who he'd be talking about.
yeah. It's
And
like
Crow can't remember his life before this, so
it's like it's like that How I Met Your Mother episode where uh what's his name? God, where Ted and Barney are like comparing notes, and then
yeah.
Jason Segel is just like, talking about his conquest, and they're like, it's Lily, dude. We know.
That's like Saint and Osiris. I feel like Osiris is like in the real adults cabin. It's like him
Yeah,
and Ikora.
yeah. Hmm.
Um just like kind of chilling. Him, Ikora, maybe Amanda Holiday is there hanging out. She's wanting to play cards, and Ikora like absolutely refuses to play with Osiris because he
Yeah.
can like see the future and shit.
Yeah. I kind of feel like, yeah, where's Hawthorne at? Mm.
Oh man. Okay, so like I feel like you have to have a room of like people that nobody likes, and it's Hawthorne, Tess, and Ada.
Hmm. That's oh my god, that would be
Devrim has to be the
hilarious.
camp cook. We already know he makes tea canonically.
Hmm. He's the
Yeah,
one stoking the fire,
yeah,
sipping his tea.
he's sipping his tea like all casual like and whatnot.
Hmm.
Varix is the guy who like actually owns the camp. He's like the old grizzled grandpa.
Yeah. God,
Mithrax
fair.
is the foreign exchange student.
Oh no.
Mithrax and Keitel are here from other countries, and Zavala like immediately stops being serious and like falls in love with a space rhinoceros.
Yeah. Oh man.
So the second part of this question, now that we've established where everybody is staying, the rooms that they're in, who is the slasher? Who's the killer? And I think there's only two clear cut choices here.
Who are the clear cut choices,
I
Josh?
mean, I think if we're going with these characters, I feel like it has to be Drifter or Eris.
Eris is definitely one. I see. I don't know. Well, I guess Drifter has his past that is pretty scary if you think about it. Uh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe they're in it together. Maybe it's one of those things like
Ooh,
Scream,
plot
where there's
twist.
multiple
It's like
killers.
fucking Scream.
Yeah, yeah, that's what.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be good. That would be juicy. We're abstaining
Hmm.
from villains in this because they're like all dead. So,
Yeah.
um,
Nope.
eh,
Savathun still. You know,
who's dying and who's making it out alive here?
God, who's making it out alive?
So
I
the first question I think we have to answer here is: do we have a final girl? It's a horror trope. It's a slasher trope. Do we have a final girl here? Like, who of the female characters would be a final girl? Because it's usually I
I
feel like it's got to be Ido. It's usually like a super innocent one.
yeah,
I feel
Ido.
like it's
I would
got to
pick
be Ido
Ido.
or like Petra or somebody because like Petra can like still kick ass, but like watch as her best friend Mara die or something.
Yeah. No, I bet it's Petra.
I would
I
go
bet
with
it's Petra.
Petra and her one eye.
Yeah.
Um,
Because she's already been through shit, right?
I would say I would
Also,
have to put
but like,
Crow in here too. I'd have to put Crow in here. I think he's nimble and he's lethal enough.
yeah, I think someone like Amanda Holiday like dies in a super badass way though.
Oh, see, I think the opposite. I think Amanda's like the first one to fucking die.
Mm.
I think she die. I think she like gets killed, and everybody's like, "Where's Amanda at? Have you seen Amanda lately?" And we just see like whoever the killer is, like just straight up killing her, like in
I
the
mean,
woods.
could it be like a Lost World situation where like they're running and you just see them like just get sucked under the field grass and you
I mean, it
don't
could be.
understand?
It could be.
Hmm. Man, man,
I feel
Jurassic
like
Park, man.
I
By
feel
the
like
way,
Saladin has to die to like let like the youngins get away. He
yeah,
sacrifices himself for Crow and Petra.
yeah, oh yeah.
All right,
And then
let's.
and then Zavala dies in some kind of no, Shax dies in some kind of dumb way, you know,
Shax dies in a
where he
really
thinks,
dumb way. Zavala and Keitel are definitely murdered like while they're fucking.
oh yeah, it's
They're
it's the
absolute. They're
it's
absolute.
the
That's where the tag team murder comes in. They're absolutely killed, buck ass naked.
it's the Nightmare on Elm Street scene, right, where they're in bed together and then you just see the blood squirting through the bed.
I mean, there's that. There's Camp Crystal Lake. There's a lot. There's precedent here. My neighbors are
Yeah.
probably like, why is this guy yelling about our space rhinoceros fucking?
No, I just imagine Shax is like it's almost like Predator where he like thinks he's outsmarted it and then like he just gets mm, just sword right through the chest from behind, like
Yeah,
just dead, you know.
I would agree with that. Nerd asks again. He had another question. Which Destiny NPC gives the best candy and the worst Halloween candy? I feel like
Oh,
worst has
Eris.
to be Saladin.
Oh no, dude, Eris gives the worst candy.
What does Eris give?
Not candy. She's the one that gives people like fruit or like a coupon to
Dude,
the dollar store.
fucking Saladin's over here giving you like protein granola bars or something. He's got a sponsorship deal with Cliff.
Oh god. No,
Like
dude, around here it's
Eris is like I feel like Eris is like the kinky neighbor that you're like afraid to send your kids over to for Halloween.
she gives you a ball gag. Or
She gives
something
she gives
gross.
she gives like
A
one she
used
gives
one.
one person like a ball gag and one like a whip.
Oh no.
She puts fuzzy handcuffs in your Halloween basket.
Oh no.
She's the cool parent.
She's the neighbor
Um
when you look inside and you see all like these belt straps and like harnesses and stuff, and you like the kid
yeah, is
innocently
it
asks, "How
torture
many
room
dogs
or
do you have?"
sex dungeon?
No, no.
Um the best candy. I feel like that this has to be Shaxx, man.
Oh yeah, Shaxx is giving out like the king sized super bars of
Drifter is giving
everything.
Drifter is handing out weed to people. He is the only time that Fox News was ever accurate about drugs being handed out to kids.
Yeah, he's the one that your crazy parents warn you about.
Right.
Don't take candy from that guy.
He's who the conservatives are worried about is Uncle Drifter.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
Battery's like he's like putting like cans of Miller High Life in your tote.
And instead of chocolate coins, he gives you condoms.
Okay, yeah. So, side note: when I lived at my aunt's house, I lived with my aunt for about not 8 years. God, about 8 years ago, I lived with my aunt, and there was a neighbor on her street that on Halloween he like they gave out candy bars, but they always had cider that they would give because it gets a little chilly by Halloween, even in Texas at night. And they would have hot apple cider for the kids, but they would have spiked cider for the adults. That dude had such a rockin' beard and like drove a motorcycle and stuff. I feel like he was like kind of Drifter before I knew who the Drifter was.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's just what I imagine is like Drifter is like handing out spiked cider to people out in his driveway. Shaxx and or not Saladin, Shaxx and Saint think this is like the greatest night ever though, and are handing out like king size candy bars from Costco.
Yeah.
Shaxx is like handing out vaulted weapons to people.
Here's
Chocolate
your
mountaintops.
Uriel's gift.
Here, chocolate mountaintops for everyone. Saint has flawless gummies. Tiger Jesus asks, "What theme park would you make a patrol zone out of, and what would be the public event, and what rides are the lost sectors?" Okay, guys, listen, we're going with Disney World here. Okay,
Yeah.
like
Come
what
on, you
kind
know
of
me and
animals
Josh
do you
here.
think that we are? But the question is, what park do you go with, Corey?
Man, Epcot would be cool. Man,
Okay,
you
so
go no. So Lost Sector, the pavilion that has been vacant for like 20 years in the back behind Universe of Energy or
So
Guardians now.
you could do that. You could do one inside the Mexico like pyramid.
Yeah, the boat ride.
Spaceship. What Spaceship Earth was one?
Spaceship Earth could no. Spaceship Earth is like the secret mission where you get the cool exotic.
What would the public event be here?
Um, harmonious.
Jesus Christ.
Um, man, the public event would be. Oh man, how would you do a public event at Epcot? I mean, it'd be easier if Innovations was still there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But oh, dude, the public event it is just the American Adventure. It's just the animatronic.
The animatronic Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go.
And then the legendary one is like Mark Twain, and he just slings racial slurs at you.
Jesus Christ, Corey. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Magic Kingdom here. I'm gonna go Magic Kingdom with mine. And it's not because like it's my favorite, but I think like it works the best for this exercise.
Mm-hmm.
For lost sectors, I would say, I mean, the Haunted Mansion has it written all over it, right?
Oh yeah, Haunted
Like, come on, man,
Mansion,
that's like that's like Michael Jordan in playing against, I don't know, like
a
the
seventh grade
Dallas
team.
Mavericks of the early 1990s. This is like the easiest basket you'll ever make in your life. That's number one in the power rankings of what should be a fucking lost sector at Walt Disney World is the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Um, I would say another one actually could be like right next to it. The island that's out there, Mark Twain Island.
Oh, the Tom Sawyer thing.
Yeah. I would say the Jungle Cruise.
See, I was gonna say Pirates of the Caribbean could be a
So I
cool
was gonna
lost
go
sector.
pirates, but I wanted to like change it up a little bit. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Jungle Cruise here because there's
Mm,
so many places for enemies to like hide and snipe you from.
mm,
And then
it's
I mean
true.
we gotta go. We gotta go to the other end of the park. So I mean Space Mountain. Space Mountain's got to be one.
Yeah.
In terms of the public event, I like imagine it like being like at night when the fireworks are going off and you're fighting like right in front of the castle. You're like sword fighting or something, and there's just like ridiculously like epic music, like the Pirates of the Caribbean music is playing and stuff like that. And you're just like fighting off an onslaught of enemies there.
Yeah.
I like defend the Warsat in the Warsat crashes into the Walt Disney statue.
The Walt set.
I fucking hate you. We're moving on. We're moving on. Boo! Boo!
Uh,
Zhao Ambrosia writes in, happy birthday, by the way.
yeah. Happy birthday.
Got some awesome artwork.
I know. God, I'm
I'm
jealous.
sure it's been discussed before. It has, spoiler alert. But with Destiny finally dipping into possible shows and other media, what would you truly like to see come out as a show, and why is it Shax's instructional workout videos? I had to make sure that this wasn't John's alt, because this is something that I expect A1 Johnny to ask us. Uh, I mean, hey, Destiny Legends, an anime, just
Yeah.
stamp it on there. Give
Hmm.
me a whole bunch of different stories. Give me the man with the golden gun first, though.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah. I mean, I would want to see some sort of anthology. I don't want to
Yeah.
see some sort of like serialized, like, I don't want to see what they did with Halo on Paramount Plus, right? I
Oh,
want to
you don't
see.
want to see Zavala's bare ass?
Hmm, no, I wouldn't get that lucky. They do
I mean,
someone
we
nobody
already
wants to
got that in
see.
The Wire. Just go watch season 4 of The Wire.
No, my thing is like we
Season
would get
3.
characters that we don't want to see doing that, right? Like, I don't know.
Hawthorne.
God, yeah, no, Hawthorne would be the main character.
Oh God. All right. Yep. Nope. Mm-mm. Yellow Kuru writes in and asks, "Is that toothbrush still rotting away in your vault?" That's question number one. Yes, I still have my toothbrush.
Hmm. It's not in my vault. Sorry to disappoint everybody.
It's unfortunate. Question number two is, do you think Bungie will ever actually do anything with it, like an exclusive emblem? I'm gonna say no because they told us it was safe to dismantle so long ago.
Hmm.
Um, I'm gonna do a power rankings at the end of the year for our final episode of the random shit that is still sitting in my vault. Among it is like the
Yeah.
toothbrush, the Vex hot cocoa from a couple
Hmm.
years ago. All the stupid prize vouchers you get from Dares of Eternity because I'm too afraid to delete anything that might be important.
I
Um,
still have 2 Kafastas in my vault from
Jesus,
my.
Corey. Um,
Dude, come on, Rise of Iron. If you had a Kavastov, you skipped like half the quest.
that's true. That's true. Joasis asks, what is your favorite era of Destiny? Can be from D1 or 2, any season, year, expansion, etc. Um, man, I would say the period of, for me at least, chosen through the launch of Witch Queen.
Yeah,
Like that was a pretty great 12 months there.
yeah. I mean, for me, like this, I would say like this stuff. Like, I don't know. It's weird because I think this show amplified my love for Destiny more than
Mm-hmm.
it was, and then obviously playing with the with everybody in the Discord and stuff has been really fun. But in terms of just like story versus with like events and everything, I would say I would say I would have to agree with you. With a close second of being just the Taken King
Yeah,
in general.
I think that we're exactly on the same page. Taken King has to be like the 1B
Mhm.
here.
Yeah.
Easily the best that Destiny 1 was,
I
and you
yeah.
can make
I
an argument for Forsaken. I think you can make an argument for the year of Forsaken stuff
you could,
because that's
but
actually really close for me.
yeah.
Because I mean, Forsaken was awesome. Black Armory was strong. Really, if Joker's Wild had just been stronger, that would probably be my pick. In all honesty, but
Yeah.
instead we got Gambit Prime and The Reckoning, and I could not care less.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I just I don't know, like I really thought like overall like I was so excited and so amped for the Witch Queen.
Yeah,
And like as much as I enjoyed playing the campaign and everything, like I don't know, I kind of feel like this it fizzled out and I don't know like I just don't know if because like I was excited for Beyond Light, but I knew it was going to be like it's probably going to be a smaller kind of thing ramping up to the Witch Queen and then into Lightfall, right? And
yeah.
I thought the Witch Queen was going to be a little bit more epic in scale, you know. Um I mean, I don't know when they say Savathun's coming, you think like, "Oh man, this there's something going to be here like the size of Oryx or something." And then for her just to end up being just relegated to a campaign boss, right? Like that just kind of I don't know.
I would say that I don't think Savathun's story is over either, but I think that the story implications we got from her, despite her just being a, like you say, a campaign boss, I don't think
Mhm.
that has any like really like big trajectory on that for me. I mean, Uldren was one too. Like he was the antagonist of Beyond of Forsaken, and then look at him, he's one of the most important characters in the entire storyline now.
Yeah, but I think we knew like I mean, a person, I mean, Aldrin is different than a hive god in my
I would
mind, right?
agree. I think that the machinations that Savathun did behind the scenes, with the possessing of Osiris, and just like
Mhm.
how it was like really like a slow build up to her coming, like the domination of the Dreaming City, taking Riven and things like that. Like, having Riven under her sway, granting the last wish. Um, all that stuff, I think that shows that she was very cunning, but Savathun had different goals than Oryx. Oryx's goal was just to come and like wipe us out of revenge for his son. Oryx was cocky. Oryx is very
Mhm.
cocky, and then he pays the price for it in Kingsfall. I think with Savathun, it was different because she she used us. That was part of her and her wizard and Amaro's plot, was to use us to restore her memory so she would know who she was again, and she wanted to lock the traveler away to save the traveler. Like she has different goals than Oryx did or than other villains have, and I think that makes her, even though she's just a campaign boss, I think that makes her storyline the most intriguing. I mean, she has one of the best scenes in the entire series when she dies in front of the traveler.
Mhm.
And I think like the dialogue that she has in Lost in particular with us and with Uldren and with Mara, and it's like, okay, like she was trapped inside this crystal and she's still pulling the strings. She's still like fucking everything up essentially.
Mhm.
She's being the god of trickery. I think that there's still another shoe to come with Savathun, but I can understand how that would be a little frustrating. I mean, we had sat here and thought she was going to be the raid boss. Um, I'm not upset. I think choosing Rolk to be the boss was actually like kind of genius storytelling. Introduced the concept of a disciple to us, and of course got us speculating like now, like, well, who else can be a disciple? Who else is going to be one before the end? And obviously Callus, and it seems like Zebu Arath is on the short list to be one too.
Mhm.
I'm okay with
There's
this not being the end of Savathun's story. Like, I think we need to see the whole story before I'll be like, yeah, that sucked. Because I mean, like, I look at the end of I keep coming back to this, but I look at the end of Forsaken, and we fought a taken meatball. Like, we didn't
yeah,
even fight Uldren. We fought a taken meatball, and
right.
that was the end of what up until the Witch Queen we thought was the best campaign
Yeah.
for Destiny. Like, I
Mhm.
don't
I
I
just think
like
like
that we actually had a big bad that we fought. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I just know, like, I don't know, I just feel like the build up to Savathun, like, I like that, but, like, remember in the Taken King, like, we fought Oryx, and then he, ended up being the raid boss too because he, you know, took himself. Uh, and I don't know. That's what I was kind of expecting, something along those lines, and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just, like, this is a different destiny, and this is a different time in the story where the story's going, and there are bigger fish to fry, right? And, like, the
Yeah.
reveal of the witness was super cool and stuff like that. But I just, I don't know. I feel like I expected more initially from her being in the campaign and at the end of the campaign, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm talking in circles now, but I don't know. I feel like it fizzled out, and maybe it's just because, like, maybe I haven't run Vow enough, and maybe I haven't dove into the lore of Ralk and the disciples
Hmm.
enough. Uh, because I don't. It just feels like it almost feels like she was wasted. But again, maybe a year from now, I'll have a different take, right?
Yeah.
Or 6 months from now,
I
but.
think that, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with like the storyline, where we're like, oh, some people are pretty underwhelmed with the story, and I'm like, I want to pump the brakes on the disappointment just a little bit. I'm not trying to be an apologist, but there's clearly still another shoe left to drop
Mhm.
on the subject of Nezarec and on the subject of
Yeah.
these relics. And I
What
would just,
what if I mean, I just thought of this. What if they use a combination of, like, somehow maybe resurrecting Savathun mixed with the relics to bring back Osiris in some way?
I don't know. I mean, like, I think that the relics were pretty tied to like both of them to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty clear that's why the Lucian Hive wants
Mhm.
them, and obviously, like, we're getting them to try and keep them out of everybody else's hands, but Mithrax is going
Mhm.
to figure out how to harness them,
Yeah.
probably with Eris, Eris and Elsie's help and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um,
So, I
so
mean, I
yeah.
just I actually am really enjoying the story part of things.
Hmm.
I think in terms of just, like, a gameplay type thing tied to Savathun is what I was expecting more for. But I like the story. I like where the story is. I like where it's going. I think we're in a great spot, but
Yeah.
that's all.
All right. We have two more questions to get through. Um, KK writes in and asks, now that we've seen the mech armor, what would you pick as a Halloween themed armor set for each class? Doesn't have to be movie specific. Literally anything you think would look good on a hunter, titan, and warlock.
Hmm. Man, what would look good?
I mean, I know they already did it for warlocks, but I think a vampire set on hunters would look really cool.
Yeah.
Do a I don't like them, but do a hoodless cape
Mhm.
or hoodless cloak and make it like a vampire cloak.
Yeah.
Just make it like really campy, like Bela Lugosi style. Um, like that could be really cool. Um, for a Titan, I mean, like God, Gundam was kind of the dream, right? I would say like a gladiator themed set, like a Roman gladiator set inspired set almost.
Yeah. I think that would be cool because, I mean, some of the Titan stuff is already kind of themed that way, right? Like with
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Eternal Warrior, and obviously Saint 14's helmet is clearly inspired by that.
I think
Um
for warlocks are a little. I mean, warlocks. I want like a full on like mage get up with like the pointy hat and everything. I just want to take it like full Gandalf the Grey.
Yeah, I think some sort of high fantasy set would be cool, like,
Yeah,
really lean into that, especially
I mean,
especially for the
I would say
warlock and
you could do that
hunters.
for all three. I think that would be
Yeah.
really. I think that could be really cool. Like you could do like almost like a Game of Thrones inspired set for all three.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I think that could be really really awesome.
Yeah. That'd be super cool. But then you could also go the other way and do, like, some super sci-fi set too. Would
I'd
be
like a
cool.
Daft Punk inspired hunter set.
Yeah. By the way, Titans have that Daft Punk helmet for Helm of Inmost Light.
I know
Or
I
no,
have the ornament for it.
insurmountable
So insurmountable.
skull fort.
And
Sorry,
yep.
guys.
Our final question, Corey. You and I did this exercise back on an old episode of Arsenal X a couple of years ago. We're gonna fly through this real quickly, though, as quickly as we can. The top 5, and this is from Zao Ambrosia. The top 5 best fast food French fries.
Oh man, top 5 fast food French fries. Okay, so Chick-fil-A waffle fries.
Yes, that's on my
Um,
list.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Wendy's fries.
I got to be in the right mood.
I mean, they're not like my first choice, but they
No,
are.
definitely not.
Curly fries from Arby's.
I would probably have them on my list.
Um, the nacho fries from Taco Bell.
I do like the nacho fries.
Yeah, I could do without the cheese, but I do like the fries. Man, a fifth fry. I guess like McDonald's would kind of just be like default there, but like I haven't eaten at McDonald's in probably like I don't know, forever. Am I missing one? Am I missing?
Yeah, you need one more. You need one more.
Oh God. Man, I mean, I guess McDonald's fries. Let's see.
So you've
Chick-fil-A,
got Chick-fil-A, Wendy's,
Wendy's,
McDonald's,
McDonald's, the
nacho
curl
fries.
nacho fries and the curly fries from Arby's.
All right. I'm gonna go Chick-fil-A waffle fries. I'm
So
gonna
good.
go in terms of like shoestring, which are like the McDonald's style. I'm gonna go Whataburger here.
Mm.
Go with Whataburger fries. This is like a deep cut if you live in the South or something. Well, I guess like Whataburger kind of is, but much less well known chain. I'm gonna go Chicken Express. Those are man, that's like the perfect like size to like potato ratio for a fry. I feel
I've never even heard of Chicken Express.
because it's only in the South. Corey is a fried chicken joint.
Mm.
And it's fantastic. It's terrible for me, and I will probably die an early death, but it's so good. So I've got those 3. I would say I would probably put Arby's curly fries on there. They like have to come out fresh, or they're going to be really bad.
Mm.
For my 5th one, this is kind of a toss up for me. I would either go the crinkle cut fries from Raising Cane's,
I've never had them.
or I would go I apparently I am in the minority for this opinion, but I really like the fries from Five Guys.
I've never been to Five Guys either, so
I
I don't
probably would go, man, with the Canes. I gotta go with Canes. I gotta go Canes crinkle cuts.
mm.
So there you have it. Fast
You
food
know what gets a
fries.
shout out though? Not really fast food, but the wedges from Earl of Sandwich.
The wedges from Earl of Sandwich, which do not exist anymore.
What? No, what?
Oh yeah, the last time when we went in March, they didn't have wedges anymore. No wedges and no
Don't
Hawaiian barbecue. I was insanely
don't tell
upset.
me. Don't tell me about the wedges, Josh.
I'm telling you about the wedges like 3 weeks before your vacation. Yeah.
No. Okay, so first of all, I'm glad that I found out before I went, but also what they replaced them with tots?
Yep.
Nobody want. I mean,
That was my response. Nobody wants fucking tots. Nobody wants
I like
tater tots over
look,
wedges.
I like tots, but wedges are the way to go. And chips,
So if we
nobody
can do
wants
another
chips.
honorable mention, the bottomless steak fries from Red Robin.
Oh yeah. Not really
With
fast
the
food, but they're
with the Red
delicious.
Robin seasoning and the
Mm,
campfire sauce. Yeah, man.
mm-hmm. Mm.
Oh man, if
Oh my
that
gosh.
would bump Canes out of my top 5
Oh dude,
easily.
that would bump like 3 things out of my top 5. Oh,
Yeah, probably. All right, let's do a quick lore corner and then get out of here.
quick lore corner. By the way,
Quick.
Josh, just FYI, your Zencaster says you're offline.
What?
Yeah.
It says I'm online on mine.
Oh well, it says
I've
you're
got a green
offline on
check
mine.
mark and I'm still talking.
Okay. Well, maybe it'll upload.
Jesus,
Maybe
I'm
it'll.
so
It's fine.
I'm gonna be so mad if this gets fucked up.
It's fine.
We'll re-record tomorrow if we have to. This one. Because God knows
It's
where to
fine.
cut out. All right. So this is from the class item this season. Catch Killer's Bond. What makes a house? It is a good question and one that not many Elixni do not think on often enough. For humans, a house is a place, but for Elixni, a house is a family. It has a culture, a philosophy of living, shared by all. That is why House Light survived, even when we fled Europa, even after the ship stealer took all we had. We were not bound by place or possessions, but as family. Cryptarch Matsuo asked me why the old crews are not considered houses. It is a wise question, one that perhaps does not have a singular answer. I think it's because those who led the old crews do not wish to be true Kells. A Kell is responsible for the safety and prosperity of their house. It is an honor and a burden. Those you call pirate lords wish only to take. They give nothing, even to their own people. Each raider is responsible only for themselves. A crew is expendable. A family is not. The old crews live a sad life, one best left in the past. And then the other one we have is Catch Killer's Gloves. The old crews, yes, I have gathered much information about them in the past weeks. In fact, I've just finished going over my notes. The old crews rose in the wake of the whirlwind during what we Elixni refer to as the Long Drift, the span of time between the fall of Reese and our arrival in the Sol system. I believe the equivalent period would be your Dark Ages, though Reese did not have Risen or Iron Lords. Instead, we had the crews. As you can imagine, this period was quite lawless, and the stability and abundance of Reese was no more. This resulted in what I believe is called a zero sum game, a situation in which every gain or advantage is earned at the expense of another. Several fearsome individuals rose to great power and authoritative prominence at the time. The Elixni word for them translates to catch killer, meaning one who boards and wrests control of enemy ships. These catch killers commanded great fleets and raided upon many supply routes, procuring objects of historic or intrinsic value along the way. It is exciting to wonder what treasures they accumulated beyond those which we've recovered already. Many crews were abolished or disbanded over that time, but those that survived did so through great hardship. They are formidable indeed, but then so is the Vanguard and its guardians. Thank you for asking about my research into the old crews and their significance. It's always a pleasure to talk about it. After all, what use is knowledge if it is not shared? So I like these because the first one pretty clearly feels like it's from Mithrax. The second one definitely is from Ido.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of there's really not anything to like break down here in terms of the lore. It's just kind of how Fallen Society works. It translates a little bit more. Like we didn't think about like how raids probably worked in the past before this season. Whereas like with I think with the concept of a Kell, we just assumed, oh, it's just the leader of like the group or like the leader of the house, and like that's a little bit different. It's like it's seen differently in Elixni society. So just some things to kind of ruminate on as we approach the end of the season. We're gonna have more lore. I want to do some of the more recent ones that we've had dropped. That we're gonna circle back with these as more of it gets uncovered in the API. It is in game. I just don't have my game screen in front in this office. Um, so yeah, that's a very very quick lore corner tonight, but just a peek into Elixni society that we're gonna keep looking into over the next couple of weeks.
Nice. I think it's fine for a quick lore corner. We had a ton of questions
We had a
in a beefy
ton
twab,
of
so
questions and a beefy schwab. We got to pick the winner of this week though for the
we do.
nicknames.
We do.
Corey, can you give me the nicknames one more time?
Yes, here we go. Nicknames for Josh. We have the arc striding aristocrat, the guy who definitely had a week, Tom Cruise's wingman, the Vex Milk connoisseur, and the hater of all champions.
I got to go with the Vex Milk connoisseur.
Ooh, twist.
Twist.
Big twist.
Big twist. Sorry to whoever put Tom Cruise's wingman, but
Oh, man.
I got to go with the Vex Milk connoisseur.
Oh, man. Let's see. The Vex Milk connoisseur is Sammy Gobo. Sammy Gobo.
So, Joasis and Sammy, we owe you guys silver for Halloween armor.
Yes. Just DM me on Discord. Let me know which platform you prefer, and we'll get it. We'll get it handled. We'll get it to you. Stat.
And as a reminder, now that those guys have won, there are 2 weeks left in our giveaway. 2 weeks? 2 more weeks.
2 weeks. 2 more weeks.
2 weeks left to go. Of course, you guys can continue to write in names if you want to, just for funsies, but you won't win. Sorry, can't win more than once. So keep getting those funny names in here. The more outrageous, the better.
Yes. Give us some crazy nicknames, guys. We want
with crazy
funny...
within reason. I should be very clear here.
Yeah, nothing like
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys think... know what's acceptable and what I will and will not read out. So
yeah. Join the Discord. Find the contest rules there if you aren't in there already. Also, hang out for a while. Play with some people. It's a good time.
Good time.
Well, Josh, what do you say we get out of here?
Let's get out of here.
All right. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tower Casuals. Join the Discord. Join the clan. Heck, who cares? Josh, thank you for your time tonight, as always. I appreciate you. Where can we find you?
You can find me, Twitter, @Josh_Finn, 2 N's, as always.
And you can find me at I am Corey HT on Twitter and Instagram. I want to thank everybody so much for watching and or listening. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Watch the show wherever you can. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on Spotify or iTunes. And we will we'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
I fumbled over that ending. That's fine.
It's okay. It happens.
I'll give a quick